Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to share with you my top 5 favorite Hoyas that I currently have in my collection. So to narrow it down, I do have a big Hoya collection. I just chose Hoyas that have really beautiful leaves and they have variegation or just something about the leaves that really stood out to me. So if you're interested in learning about my 5 favorite Hoyas, just keep on watching and we'll get into the video. So to start, this is Hoya macrophylla pot of gold. And there is another version of this that has coloring, like a goldish color around the outside, but I liked this one a lot because it has just even more variegation. It's so gorgeous and it looks like it's been painted on. And I got almost all of these from Gardino Nursery, and I do recommend to check them out. Usually you have to put your name on a wait list if you want certain plants, but they usually get them in really fast, so you just have to be patient. But sometimes they do get more of a selection, so it really just depends if you just check every so often. But I do recommend the wait list if you want Hoyas. But this is so beautiful. It's so stunning, and it's a pretty good size. And I did mention that I wanted to cut down on buying plants, but I made the exception if the plant was on my wish list, and this was one of them. I'm probably gonna keep him either my eastern or western exposed window. I have my other variegated macrophylla in my western window, and it does really well. It's been growing a lot, so I think that will be good for the light exposure. Next, this is Hoya Super Eskimo, and what I think is really cool about this is the leaves are heavily splashed, I think they call it. So it means it has a lot of speckles, and it gives the leaves more of a silver tint, which is really gorgeous. I love when plants look kind of silvery gray. And I got him kind of recently. He's been on my wish list for a while, so when Gardino Nursery was selling this, I jumped right on it because I could not go without this in my collection. And the flowers on this guy are so adorable. They're fuzzy and white, so I really hope he will bloom for me. But unfortunately, a lot of my blooms end up drying up and falling off, and I think it's probably because I'm not supplementing any type of humidity during the summer, but it's okay. I'm sure at some point the blooms will survive and I'll finally get to see a Hoya bloom. I've never actually seen one that's fully in bloom, so let's hope it happens someday. I'm just hoping. But yeah, this guy is so adorable. The leaves are just so dainty and teeny tiny, so he's a really adorable guy to kind of have in maybe a hanging basket. Probably gonna keep this guy in an eastern window or western. For most of these guys, I'm gonna avoid southern exposure because I don't want to damage the leaves with the sun. And you will notice if you give your Hoyas too much sun, they can develop little black speckles on them, and that's just a sign of sun damage, and it might be better to move them to a window that gets a little bit less intense sunlight. This guy is the Hoya obovata variegated, and you can see the top of the leaves have more variegation. Some of the leaves are solid, but for the most part, it's a variegated plant. This guy is pretty big already, so I can tell I'm gonna need a trellis for him to kind of support the stems, but he's really beautiful. Really excited that I got this again from Gardino Nursery, and looks really healthy, and I'll probably majority of these will be in an eastern window. A lot of my Hoyas do really well and produce the blooms on their peduncle when they're in the eastern exposed light. Next up, this is Hoya kerrii variegata. I've talked about him before. I've done care tips. So something that I've actually noticed with mine is some of the newer leaves get little black speckles on the back side, when it's a brand new leaf. So I know it's not too much light since I keep this in an eastern window. So I think that's just common when the new leaves are developing. They get those little black speckles on the underside, and that's completely fine. I did some research on it, and a lot of people were saying that's normal. It's nothing to worry about. It's not any kind of a pest. So that is a normal thing that happens to this plant, and the best way to kill this plant is to overwater it. I actually gave my best friend a smaller version of this when I found it at Logi's, and she killed it within the first month or two. I think it wasn't, first of all, it wasn't getting enough light. She had hers in the kitchen with no light exposure, and I think she overwatered it. So if you're not giving your plant any direct sunlight, like sitting next to a window, then it's not going to be using as much water. So she definitely, most likely, watered too much and it died. So you want to kind of lean towards the drier side for most Hoyas. They don't like to be sitting in soggy soil. It also helps to use a clay pot because it allows the soil to dry out faster since it's porous and it allows air to pass through the pot. But mine is huge, as you can see, and loving life. So let's hope I can get a bloom on this baby at some point. I can't wait. Bloom for me, please. You have to be so patient with these plants. And then they start to bloom and then they fall off before they open. It's really sad. But that's how it goes. Last but not least, this is my Hoya variegata. Some people call it the strawberries and cream plant. So I actually have 2 of these. I got him from the Home Depot. They're really popular. I'm sure you've seen this like so many times. They're like, show me something cool. That's such a boring plant. But I just love how the leaves kind of come in this pink color when they're growing in new, and it grows so easily. My other one is growing like crazy. It's huge, so that's why I decided to show you the smaller one. And I really like the look of them when they're growing up a trellis. I was growing the other one like hanging down off of a table, and it was kind of just going out of control and growing really long. So I think I do like it better kind of contained on a structure. And I'm really hoping this will bloom. I know the flowers can be like a light pink color, and then sometimes they can be more white, so it just depends on how much light they're getting. So yeah, this guy is a classic, and you can find him pretty much anywhere. Home Depot, Lowe's, local garden centers usually always have them. So this guy is really quite easy to come by for most people. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching my video on my top 5 Hoyas. I hope you enjoyed it. You can also follow me for more everyday updates on my Instagram. It's Juju Succulents. And be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I post videos every week. Alright, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!